Anyway, all right, guys, it's 1 o'clock. Welcome to, well, actually, don't worry about that. That's up for my next class. I am, as you know, I'm a bold coach. Denny Grimes here. I'm right now in Fort Myers. Sometimes I'm in Phoenix, sometimes in our house in Alaska. So if you don't see me wearing a jacket, you probably can guess I'm not in Alaska. I'm in Fort Myers right now, and this is our Thursday script practice, scripts and survival for COVID-19 market. I'll pull up the slide here in just a second. I just wanted to welcome you, give you a little bit of news. As you know, all these classes are recorded, and then they're posted at Denny Grimes Mastermind on the Facebook page. Yes, I always get it mixed up. So Denny Grimes Mastermind, and you can go there and join. You also, if you're signed up for that, you're going to get all the notices of the classes coming up, and there's going to be some cool things happening. Now, just for today, I wanted to let you know that because I am a bold coach, we are launching Bold October. And it doesn't matter if you're KW or not, Bold October. October has always been the most popular and the strongest and the most worthwhile bold because it helps you finish strong. And that's very, very important in real estate. It also sets you up to have a strong first quarter in 2021. And in between those two, we call it the Christmas Bowl. So what would it look like if you had one extra sale, maybe had an extra $5,000 because of Bold? What wouldn't it be great to give your family something awesome, something to build memories or whatever? Maybe it's a vacation, maybe it's an alpaca, maybe a puppy, who knows what, right? That's coming up in October 20th or 22nd. I think the third week in October. Bold October starts, 4 weeks. Normal price, $99. They have a blue light special going on right now at $79. And so obviously, how many sales would you have to have? So anyway, I'm only telling you that. Number one, I want you to know. I want you to be involved in it. Secondly, this class will probably be truncated a little bit, about a quarter till, because I have to get ready in Zoom. They've asked me to do this class, getting sellers off the fence, for the entire sign up register for the bold people, because right now, as you know, as we've been talking about, everybody wants an extra listing or two, and that class is really geared for that. And if you haven't heard that class from me, you'll have that opportunity. So I'm going to go to share screen just a little bit. I'm glad you guys are here. Oh, Sani Shabani, I need to be able to share. Oh, I got it. Never mind. I got it. I just had to cut your sound off. Here we go. It's always a few clicks away. All right, so here we are, September 24th already on our Thursday call. We're back to our normal schedule, Tuesdays and Thursdays, 1 o'clock to 2 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, so mark that on your calendar. If something comes up, I'll let you know. Like today, I have to get off about 15 minutes early to get set up for the other class. There's Denny Grimes Mastermind. That's what you want to go to get all my free stuff, and to make sure you're on the mailing list of all our future classes. So that's kind of a little bit repetitive. So on Tuesday, some of you guys were not on the call on Tuesday. And so I'm going to just take a couple seconds to dig a little bit deeper. And before we go on in, I want to talk about some negotiating tactics in this market we're in and cover anything you would like to cover. These are the slides that Gary showed last week at Market Watch, at MegaCamp. And I talked about this briefly on Tuesday. And here are the points I want you to understand, because when I hear something from the news or somebody like Gary Keller or whatever, the only thing that I'm thinking is, okay, that's great information. What I'm thinking is, how can I apply that and use that to help people move in the direction they should move in? Sometimes that's forward, and sometimes it may not be forward. I made this statement on Tuesday that the interesting thing here, and I don't know that Gary made this point, I don't remember if he did, I'm sure he didn't, I'm sure he thought about it, is when you look at the rise of price between January and July, now you're looking at the median sales price there, don't be confused by the 6.4%. And again, I don't want to be a Poindexter here and bore you with this. However, there's an important lesson here. They're talking year-over-year change. They're talking about the average year-over-year, the average January to January, February to February. I want you to look at the January to the July change, 266,000 to 304. So that's, if my math is right, that's 14%. So here's the thing, make a note, the median price of a home is up 14% since January. How would you think you could use that for a seller? You know, it's a white hot market. We've been talking about that. Prices are up 14%. People are winning at the table. At what point do you want to take your chips off the table, et cetera, et cetera? There's a lot of ways you can use it. However, now you have a hard data point. I think the 14% is more relevant than year over year stuff because that confuses people anyway. So I'm not even going to go down that road. Prices are up 14%. So when we talk about shadow sellers that on my class, those that should be on the market and aren't, those that could be in the market and aren't, those that used to be, there's your target. I was talking to an agent this week, and you know, he's actually getting into calling expires, and you should, because here's the thing. They didn't sell before because they were probably unrealistic. Now the market may have caught up with their unrealisticness, if that's a word. Here's the other lesson in this slide, which I think is real important, and I didn't do the math on it for you guys on Tuesday. I did it today. Notice in January, interest rates about 3.6. Now in July, 3%. I know there could be a little bit less than that. Here's the thing. I made the statement on Tuesday that the good news for buyers, and this, if you work with buyers, this is the message, is that although prices are going up, they've not lost any purchasing power because the interest rates are going down. Now, I did the math on it, and here's how it works out. As I just said, the median sales price is up 14% from January. Now, when you take, let's say those numbers, 266, 304, and take an 80% loan to value on those numbers, the delta or the difference in mortgage payment is only 6%. So what that means is obviously the prices are going up 14%. The payment, their buyers' buying power is only up 6%. So basically, what's the difference there? 8%. So basically, the run up in prices, half of that has been mitigated by the falling interest rates. The message of the moment I want you to kind of get in your mind, and you can ask. I'm not looking at chat right now. Maybe somebody can look at chat. I would rather you just unmute yourself and talk to me because I've got the screen up right now. Is this. Buyers are a little bit freaked out. They don't want to pay too much. Buyers sometimes get a little bit freaky in this upward moving market. The good news for them is right now interest rate has basically bailed them out of half the upward pressure. However, and here's the urgency pitch. I said this on Tuesday. Now we have the numbers to back it up. And that is, from now on, everything moving up will be eroding the buyer's purchasing power. Every upward movement now in price will be eroding it. And it's kind of already started. It probably started maybe, if I did the math, maybe started back in June or late May. However, it's not too late to get in. Meaning if the market continues, and we'll talk about that in a little bit, they're going from every day they wake up, their purchasing power is less. In other words, the house they're buying is losing square footage. So anyway, there's the numbers. 14%, you can just talk about, and you can do your own average if you want to, the median sales price. However, that's the number. I just got our facts and figures from last month, and it's the first time we have in Southwest Florida, where I am seeing a double-digit increase year over year. I know I'm using year over year again. So any questions on that? Pop in and say something. If not, I'll kind of move forward. I just wanted to give you some hard facts on that, and you can use that with your buyers and the 14% upward movement. Use it with your sellers. We talked about that on Tuesday. We talked about that on Tuesday. Really quick here, I just wanted to give you a couple more little arrows in your quiver because we didn't go into the detail on this on Tuesday. Gary Keller talked about a K-shaped curve, meaning people that have jobs and their industries are doing okay. They're the ones buying the houses right now, not so much the waiters, waitresses, and maybe people in the service or hospitality industry. So there's two theories. If the housing market is in a K-shaped recovery, the owner-occupied market will continue to see strong demand. Now, again, this is a projection of the future. Anything can happen. The Bucks won. They beat Carolina. Awesome. We play Denver on Sunday. We're predicted to win. Awesome. However, anything can happen. The reason I want to give you this is I want to give you another arrow in your quiver. A buyer may come to you and say, listen, I think I'm a little bit worried. Prices have risen so much. I don't want to hop in and then the market erode. You can then tell them, based on a lot of people, this is just a prediction, the owner-occupied market will continue to see strong demand. Now, the market that won't is the next one right here that I've highlighted, is people that are in the investment area, maybe the rental market, or people that have, rental property. Now, where's the opportunity for you in that? Let me share that with you. So now you're talking to a potential seller that maybe has an apartment building, duplex, a rental house, or whatever. Every investor, they're looking at return on investment. Now, they may want to have a long-term hold. I get that. However, if you're talking to a serious investor, like Gary Keller and many other people that are very savvy, they know when to cash in. Now, probably in my lifetime, I was always a buyer, never liked to sell. And I don't know if it's a quirk about my personality. People give me gift cards. I don't like to use them. I win things at auctions, like my wife would tell you all the time. She uses this to beat me over the head with. I won this at an auction. A florist would give me a bouquet of flowers every month for a year free. Well, I just filed that gift certificate away. Never used it. When she saw it, she came in unglued. Why didn't you send me flowers every month? You know what I mean, Vern? I've got over 1.1 million airline miles with American. And I buy tickets. I don't use my miles. So anyway, I should be a seller. Sorry, I went down that path. Here's the message, you guys, is this. If you're talking to your investor, according to what Gary Keller's saying, if the K-shape, the K-shape graph that we showed you last week, in fact, there it is, okay, that it doesn't really matter. I'll just leave it up a second. It would be an awesome time for investment people to cash out now. Does that mean there's got to be any more upward pressure? No. However, I have some rental property right now. You might have some rental property right now. And I'm so thankful that my tenant is still paying my rent, or his rent, because of COVID, they have forbearance on rent. And there's a lot of people out there right now that may not be getting rent, or it might get worse. So I want you to understand that is an awesome opportunity, and take a picture of that if you need to. That's the message you want to take to a potential investor seller, that, hey, look, why don't know the future? What would it look like if you cashed out now, parked your money, and waited for another opportunity? So there's that. This is the other theory. If there's not the K-shaped theory, this is the other one, the housing market having a more traditional recovery. Now, the thing that I want you to kind of watch, and I know that my wife has a feeling there's going to be some major correction. I don't really know what that's going to look like. However, the government seems to be doing most they can, as good as they can, with the asterisk, that's still the government, of doing something to help out. And Gary says, unless the government helps out, there's going to be a correction. However, when you look at this, it says, number one says, we'll likely see negative impact on other parts of the economy, and the recovery will be slow. Now, what's interesting, when he's talking about the housing market and the more traditional recovery, well, I don't consider our market right now in recovery. I mean, I think it's growing. So there must have been something, he must think something's going to happen, and then we're slowly going to grow out of it. So anyway, I'll pass that along to you. The last thing here, talking about forbearance, this is what I did my TV spot on 2 weeks ago. I think it would be an awesome post on your social networks. If you can say, hey, look, you are having some problems, with your mortgage. Are you in forbearance? Would you like to know the pros and cons of being in forbearance? Why don't you become more of a counselor and expert on that subject? So I don't want to spend any more time on that. I know that you probably have these slides, seen these slides, maybe watched Mega Camp. However, when you go to those marathon events, and this Mega Camp was very well received, my sittability isn't very, very high. So I'm always looking for, okay, that's great information. How can I use it to talk to sellers? How can I use it to talk to buyers? So I'll just stop there for a second. There's a loan delinquency. He's talking about COVID, this, that, and the other. So I'm going to stop there just for a second and see who's here. Okay, so we got Ruby, we got some people, some regulars here. Anybody have any comments or ahas on what I just spent. I took about 10 or 15 minutes to go over that a little bit more in depth. Did anyone get any ahas out of that? Or is that a big fat waste of time?
No, I thought it was great that your prices are up 14%. And I know the average day on market here in Phoenix area is 7 days.
Yeah, Arch. I think it was Arch, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not ours. That's the nation. So
Yeah.
Gary's using the U.S. So I don't know what ours are. Maybe similar. So awesome. Anybody else get anything out of it before we go on to the next subject?
It's Matt. I'm thinking that I'm thinking that if you want to encourage sellers, you begin with all the investors you know.
You're saying you should be talking to your investors?
Well, if you've got incredibly low inventory and you explain this to them, what they may be up against in the future or even right now, with being the peak of price right now, that's how you're going to get inventory on the market, is talking to investors, because they may want to cash out.
I really think that is an awesome point, Matt, and one that I was attempting to make. I'm glad you caught it and they're saying it as an aha in case somebody missed it. I think it's an awesome opportunity for you to talk to your investors. And believe me, there's serious investors and there's basically weekend warriors, right? Still, it's a great conversation. All right, well, I want to go into negotiation a little bit. Because here's the thing, you guys. Scripting with buyers and sellers, getting the listing, getting the buyer agreement, etc. Are there not scripts we can use when we're in the negotiation process? Is it not a strategy? The power of questions throughout negotiation are very strong. And here's the other thing. Has anyone on this call ever dealt with an agent that had a bigger ego than the house they were selling? And there seems to be one or two in the market all the time. And I remember when I was young in the business and just a pup, and there was these people that were just totally scary to me. And so when I saw that, and they just, I don't know. I mean, they probably didn't mean it to be bad. They were just, they had earned their stripes, so to speak, and they're going to basically throw their weight around. So my whole gig is I made my mind up as I went through real estate every decade. My intention was to become more meek and less aggressive, not to a detriment. You understand the difference between meekness and being a pushover. I was less about my ego, and I always wanted to make the other agent feel better. And believe me, I've got my own dirty laundry. I'm not pumping myself up like I'm some sort of superhero or something. I'm just saying that was one of the things I intentionally attempted to do. And one of my favorite lines in this, in the real estate negotiation world, I always would tell the other agent, and I know that I've had some, you've had some, you will have some, etc., that have been like a pain in their butt, and they're like way egotistical. My mantra is, and I'll tell them, I'll say, hey, Matt, here's the thing. I mean, customers come and go. Buyers and sellers come and go. You and I are in this industry together. It was always, that was my attitude. I always attempted to have that type of field to play on. And, if you came in here and took a survey, I'm sure there's probably people out there that don't love me, and I get it. However, what I'm saying is this: isn't it easier to have a negotiation with an agent that they may be representing their side, you're representing their side? However, you're both fair, you're professional, and you know what? You may go and have a glass of wine at some point, or go bowling with them, and you can still be friendly. So I never did like, and I'm not being judgmental here, I personally never did like the negotiations where there's blood on the floor. Some people got to get the last nickel or whatever. It's just not me. So let's talk about this one a little bit. This could be a negotiating issue with a seller. Now, are you finding? You've had my listing for 3 days. Home listed at $500,000, 6% fee, let's say. All right. So That's a $15,000 commission, I think, per side if my 5 times 6 is 30. Yeah. So we're $25,000 apart with the buyer. And so who would like to take this? I'm the seller. What would you do to help make this happen? So I'm the seller. Hey, look, dude, we're $25,000 apart. You've only had this listing for 4 days. You're going to make $30,000, and we're $25,000 apart. What are you going to do to make this happen? Is that, well, first of all, would anyone say if that's a realistic situation?
It's always realistic with the seller.
Yeah. Okay. So who would like to handle that with me? And I'll be the seller. And let's dissect this a little bit. A lot of you guys have been on here. You know the formula. You know the format. And the beauty of what we're learning together in question-based, listening-enhanced conversational scripts is you don't have to memorize a lot of verses. You just have to, you just remember the formula. And remember, and here, the starting point is always a starting point, meaning, hey, Matt, you have a party at your house. I'm on the way, and I left my phone at home, so I don't have my GPS. I stopped here at a payphone. No, I don't know if they exist. Anyway, I'm calling you, Matt. How do I get to your house? What's the first question you're going to ask?
Where are you?
There you go. And you always start with that. And so then you don't have to memorize a bunch of stuff. Now, this is very logical. So who would like to do this with me? And we may go back and forth a couple different ways. Who would at least like to start out with the first statement / question? Nobody?
I'll go.
Who was first? And Matt, is that you?
Yeah.
All right. So you guys, we're gonna actually have a little, this is like a game show. You're gonna ask a question, and maybe I'll let you go a question or two. Then I want you all to pipe in and say, rate it. That was a great question, or here's an alternative to it. Okay. And believe me, I know there's more than one way to play a chess match. So Matt, what are you gonna do for me, dude?
So that I understand, what you're saying that we're $25,000 apart with the buyer. You want me to do something to help with the process. Is that correct?
Well, yeah. I mean, oh my gosh, I'm paying $30,000. You only had to list in 4 days.
That's correct. So other than that, other than my responsibility to get this done, is there anything else that's on your mind that's causing you to have issues?
Well, I think everything else in the offer is all right. I just, I'm not going to give my house away, and we're $25,000 apart. So
$25,000 is giving your house away?
Yeah. In this market, have you read?
Okay. All right. And have we had any other offers come in 3 days?
Well, no. I mean, it may have a lot to do with the agent I hired.
So in 3 days, when the days on market for $500,000 is 10 days average on market, and I've got an offer in 3 days, you're saying that maybe I did something wrong.
Well, it really has. Look, I like you, Matt. This is not personal. This is like, okay, help me get this thing together.
Right. And I just want to make sure you believe that I bring value to the table in my negotiating skills.
Yeah, you do. Sure.
Okay. All right. So if I do something to help get this going and get us closer, is there anything you're willing to do?
Well, I mean, we're at 500,000. He offered 450, and I'm willing to go to 475, and I understand from what you told me that the buyer's firm at 450.
I understand. So the buyer's agent told me that they're firm at 450, and you're willing to go to 475, would you like to counter at 475 and see if they'll bite?
Well, yeah, let me just fill in the blanks. That's kind of what happened. And so I countered at 475 based on your recommendation, and the buyer's sticking at 450. That's why we're 25 grand.
Okay. Okay, I see. Yeah, I'm done.
You're done.
What's next?
Okay, tag somebody. Who wants to step in there? Now, come on, be brave. Let me tell you something. And when you role play, what's really interesting, I hear this quite a bit. It even happens with me. Role play works, meaning I'm putting myself into the seller's, position. And although it's playtime, role play, you kind of feel the emotion and how you would react if you were really in that setting by what someone says. And one of the things, I don't know if you caught it or not, one of the things that Matt did that was super strong, and you might not even have known it. Sometimes when you have a situation like that, this is what he asked me. Who remembers, okay, who was listening enough, and you weren't playing Fortnite, who remembers enough what he said? What was his first question? It was not only powerful, it was how he asked it. Anybody? He said, and this is recorded, so I don't know, I'm gonna have to go back and make sure, something like this. Well, we're $25,000 apart, and you want me to do something about that? You see the power in just that question. Now, he went on to elaborate a little bit. So, Matt, you had me in a very interesting, tight spot with that question, because you threw the porcupine back at me, and you're saying, you want me to do something? And the only thing I would have done differently, and you didn't know how I was reacting to it, if you would have let that question hang, I feel the pressure. Now you put it on me. I have to defend the fact that I expect you to kick in something. Does that make sense, y'all?
Well, and we really hadn't really established what it was he wanted me to do. Doesn't necessarily mean that I should come down on my commission.
Well, that's another thing that I realized too, that's another thing that I realized in this role play, Matt, that yes, don't assume that it's about money. Now, probably 90% of the time it is. However, don't assume. I mean, so all right, so awesome. So who wants to take it from the top or from there? Anybody? You want to volunteer somebody? Just put it in the chat, because I'm looking at the chat now. You can volunteer someone. This is how we grow.
I'll take it, Denny.
All right, Archie.
So, so we are. So at this point, we're 25,000 apart, and so my question to you is: I've done everything that I had said that I was going to do at our time of listing, and the expectations are that I'm going to do the marketing I'm doing. I'm going to put everything together. And so at the listing, when we had taken that, we gave the scenarios where we may be. And so my question to you, because we are $25,000 apart, what are you, what is your expectation? And is this something that you're willing to walk away from and put the deal away versus, you want to bump them and try to bump them again? Or is this something that you're willing to walk away from because you told me that you need to be in Phoenix in the next 30 days?
Okay, that was a long question. Ask it. No, now you kind of laid it out there. Ask it I'm going to give you, we're going to do it again. Ask me the question. Make it succinct.
Are you willing to walk away from this this deal with $25,000 apart because you're needing to be in Phoenix in 30 days?
Well, I mean, yes. Unless, I mean, I told you when we listed, I thought 500 was the right number. And, I came down to 425. Now the rest is on you. I mean, 475. Now the rest is on you.
Well, I can definitely appreciate how you feel. Yet on the other hand, we've done everything that we can. We brought in the buyer. I personally feel that my expectations were met, and I feel that, typically this is a decision that you'd probably need to make. I can't make it for you.
I only respond to questions. Now, let me stop you, Art. Thanks for stepping up. Okay, now you don't have to leave. However, here's the thing. I'm pretty simple in my thought process. If you want to know something, ask. What do you really want to know right now? What's a question that you would be an awesome question to ask?
What's 25,000 going to do in order to get you where you need to be?
Okay, I get that. Let's go. That would be one down the road. Based on what I had up there as far as what the seller said, he wanted me to, what are you going to do for me? We're $25,000 apart. What's the most obvious question that probably needs to be asked from that?
Well, they probably want you to. They probably want you to look at lowering your commission, in my opinion.
Got it. However, as we talked about in our role play, I think yesterday or I don't know, it was the other day, you guys never assume you know the answer. I mean, you might be right, and this is what Matt was talking about. Here's the question, Archie. Just be the seller for a moment, okay?
Yep.
You're asking me, and this is kind of what Matt asked me, although he didn't get an answer. Archie, you're asking me, what am I willing to do? What is your expectations? What do you want me to do for you? Now, that is the question you got to start with.
Mm-hmm.
Matt asked that, although I didn't answer it directly. So, Archie, what do you want me to do?
Well, I feel that you're definitely. We've got a lot of, there's a lot of commission here on the table. I would like to maybe see if I'm going to give, you can give, and let's see if we can't make this work on commission. I mean, they went to where they wanted to be. I think this is between you and I, right? I mean, I think that we need to see about if you could lower your commission for me.
And what is your expectation on that, Archie?
Well, by doing that, that it's not taking so much, for out of my pocket directly.
Now, who's not answering the question now, you guys?
Yeah, I got you.
No, you don't have me because I'm not playing until you talk to me. You guys, we always have to, and I'm doing this, excuse me, I had to plug my computer in. I'm doing this, obviously you can just say, I ain't doing nothing, just get out of my face. Or if they ask you to reduce your commission, no, and move on. That's always a strategy. What I'm attempting to do now is give you more than just the no. This is kind of we always seem to follow, and I want you to kind of think of it logically. If I call you, I'm heading to your house, you got to find out where I am. So when I ask you, Archie, what are you going to do? Don't you want to kind of know what they want to do? And, Matt was going down this road because it may not be commissions. Archie, what do you think I can do to make this transaction work for you?
Well, I'm still the seller. Well,
somebody help him out.
Yeah, help me out.
Al, step in there. Come on. What do you want me to do, Al? I mean, you're asking me to help you, or you're asking me what I'm going to do. What do you want me to do? Al, can you talk? You're muted.
Hey, Denny. Sorry, I was on my cell phone. I just got done driving.
Okay.
I heard part of what Archie was saying about cutting the commission.
Yeah,
Is that
you're
where
the
we're at?
seller. You're the seller. You asked for 25 grand apart. You're asking me, what am I going to do to make it work? I'm asking you, I'm the agent. Al, what's your expectation? What do you want me to do?
And I'm the seller, right?
Yep.
At this point, if we were to come into some kind of compromise between the 450 and 475, do you think that that's something your seller would entertain?
You're the seller.
Oh,
I'm the agent. The seller's asking me. Hey,
now
look.
my seller's firm on. Now, you represent me?
No, yeah, I represent you. You're the seller.
Yeah. I think what you need to do is go back to the other agent and tell them that in order to put this thing together, that they need to come up with some additional funds.
Okay. Watch this, guys. I don't want you to forget the basics. All right, I can do that. What else would you like me to do? That's the other than that.
Well, they in lieu of coming off the price, would they be willing to buy the property as is?
Okay. Anything else?
I think we should start there.
Okay. Now, because I have to cut this a little bit early today, let's talk about this just a little bit. It's almost the same procedure. Now, again, Al took a different tack, and this goes back to Matt's question up front. Don't automatically assume it's about commission. We'll get there in a second. And so now that Al has told me what he wants to do, this was Archie's line of questioning, which I agree with. However, here's the thing. You know, sometimes, and again, maybe the way I like to move my pieces on the chess match, I like a little bit more information. And you guys are coming up with the same questions I would come up with, only in a different order. So you have to decide if my order's better or not of yours. Now that I know what he's expecting me to do, I'm going, whoosh, commission hadn't come up yet. That doesn't mean it might not in the future. Then I have to take him into the what if. Okay, so Al, let me ask you a question. If I go back and the buyer's agent's firm, are you willing? This is Archie's question. Are you willing to lose this buyer over $25,000? And that's a pretty big number. However, I'm not being judgmental. Are you willing to lose the buyer over $25,000?
Yeah, I was only been on the market for 4 days, so you know, we've had other showings.
All right. Now here's the other thing, and that's right. I would probably expect the seller to probably take that reaction, and it probably is the right one. Now here's the other thing, and I want you to make a mental note if you're driving. Write this down if you're not. Every negotiation, every transaction that I involve myself in, buyer or seller, I say this and write it on the chalkboard 500 times. They have to want to sell more than I want them to sell. They have to want to buy more than I want them to buy. Now there's power in that, because now you can handle the transaction without being attached to the outcome. Because and so I'll go back, and so 5 days. Now, the other thing is the negotiation of that conversation we just had with the seller. What type of leverage do you think you might have with the buyer's agent? Now I'm going to call the buyer's agent and I'm going to have a conversation with them and say, hey, look, do you think you have leverage or not? Maybe it's a little outside the sweet spot. It's only been on the market 3 days. I still think you have some leverage. Al, you're the other agent. Okay, now you're not the seller, you're the agent. I'm going to call you back and say, Al, here's the thing. Now I'm going to play good cop, good cop. No, it's really good cop, bad cop. Guess who the bad cop is? It's the seller or maybe the buyer. Al, hey, look, I really like to put this together, wouldn't you?
Yeah, that'd be great.
So, I mean, as you know, it's only been in the market a short period of time, and we'll have no problem selling it. Although every transaction I have with you goes really, really smooth, and I'd rather smooth than not smooth. So, what do we need to do to make this happen? Because my seller's not moving.
Well, Denny, you're right. We've worked together in the past, and your seller is asking $500,000 for the home.
What's
You've looked at the comps before.
He's at 475. Al, remember, he's at 470. He's came down $25,000. Your buyer hasn't come up at all. You're at 450. So
that's the point I was going to make.
Okay, I'm sorry.
I'm the other agent now, right? So
yeah.
That's what I'm telling you. Says my buyer has already came in higher based on what market conditions are today than what prior sales have brought in that particular neighborhood.
Okay, so it doesn't look like we're going to be able to get together on this, does it?
I'm always so happy to go back and talk to my buyer, but since we've been negotiating, they've also been looking at other properties that they want to take a look at. So
Al's doing the same thing to me that I'm doing to him. He's taking the fear of loss. You can't do that on my call, dude. No, but that could be true. That could be true, and that's okay. And here's the thing: you have to. This is kind of a no-brainer if it's on the market 4 days. So let's say basically $25,000, and we'll end it here in the next 3 minutes on this. We're $10,000 apart, and the house has been on the market 45 days. And the seller's been a little bit. So the question I always ask when one of my agents come to me and they're talking about this issue between a negotiation between buyer and seller, and this is a question I want you to write down and always have in your mind: which one of the two between buyers and sellers is the most unreasonable? Because if a buyer's doing everything they can do and you got a seller that basically is being a stick in the mud, well, that's one thing. It always is to your advantage to know on which side. And so let's say we're $10,000 apart on a $500,000 transaction. And here's the thing, and I learned this a long time ago, Al, you might like that other house. However, this house is in the school district you wanted, $10,000. How do we make this work? Can you get the buyer to give me an inch or two, and I'll go back and see if I can't get the seller to give an inch or two.
Yeah, no, I'm willing to go back and talk. There's no doubt about that. Let them know what your position is, but also notice here that this would be for you, I guess. Let's say the ABC mortgage was being used, and we could save you some cost on switching mortgage companies to help that gap. Is that something you'd be interested in doing?
Yeah. Well, again, that's all very creative to go back and forth on that. And I don't want to get too lost in it because we have to finish this up. At some point in time, you're going to get to a point that may be $5,000. Now, as we end this up, and let's say you're $5,000 apart, the house has been on the market 5 days, you got a $15,000 commission there, and your seller says, okay, well, help me out on the commission. What would you do? Really quick. And somebody can pop in and say it. Al, you're on the mic right now. Anybody else? If seller said, listen, we're $5,000 apart, what do you do?
I would ask the other agent if they're willing to split the difference.
Okay, give me another. Who's got, other than no, let's say it's coming down to that, what would you do? Split the difference is one with who? The other agent?
Yes.
25-25, okay. Anybody else have another comment what they might do?
All of us split.
No,
it
you say
between the four of us.
25-25. I thought we're down to $5,000 now. Or
Yeah, $2,500 apiece.
Oh, yeah, right. Okay.
All right, Archie, what'd you say?
I said split it. I say we split it all between the four of us.
There you go. See now,
And that's a win-win, and that's for everyone to come in.
yes. See, now how about that? Now I kind of like that too. I mean, so that's where if you're going to give in at all, and sometimes, I mean, for people say, I never give in. That's okay. Well, whatever. Okay. I'm sure you floss every day after every meal. So the bottom line is sometimes it just makes business sense. Maybe a past customer, maybe somebody want to help out. However, I just wanted you to catch that note because I would always go back. How many people are in the transaction? There's 4.
Yep.
Divide it 4 ways. And you'll be shocked. And here's the one more secret I want to leave with you. And now I'm calling Archie, the other agent. I just had a conversation with my seller. Archie, listen, we're $5,000 apart. And I tell you what, if I can get the seller, if we can split this 4 ways, can we make this work?
Absolutely. I don't see why we couldn't make this work. Everybody's got a piece in this, and we can get this together.
Now, here's the point I want you to get. This is the secret in the negotiation. You don't say, I've got my seller to agree, and I'm agreeing we're going to be able to, we'll take, if we can split it 4 ways, we're in.
Right.
You want to say, listen, this is an idea I had, and I haven't got the seller's approval on it yet. However, if I can get the seller to agree, can we make this work, split it 4 ways? Archie said, yes, good. Can you call your buyer? Let me have a yes. Here's the thing. If I'm going to be given in any money whatsoever, my dollars seal the deal. I never have my money on the table until I know it seals the deal. Does that make sense?
Correct.
So, sorry, I have to run early. So anybody get any ahas? You can say something or type it in or whatever. Did you find this role play? We haven't done a negotiation yet. Did you find anything valuable about this?
Yeah, I
Absolutely.
think what it boiled down to, it ended up being a reasonable scenario as far as negotiating with.
It was a win-win or no deal.
Sounds like something I've heard of Keller Williams.
Absolutely.
Anybody else? John, you're so quiet today.
I'm actually sitting at an inspection.
Okay. Yeah, you might have to negotiate some of that stuff. We can negotiate inspection items sometime during the class. Well, anyway, I trust that you got something out of it. Here's the thing that I got. I thought that Matt came out with an awesome question to begin with. And when you ask that question, like seriously, you're joking, right? You want me to do something? Awesome question. Then not assuming it has to do with money. Don't assume how much it is. Archie's statement as far as, okay, if you have to get it down there, split it 4 ways if you're going to do it. And the last thing I said, I think it's worthwhile. Let your money be the last dollar on the table to make sure, because if you're willing to give up commission and it doesn't close the deal, you might have to, they're going to come back for more. So appreciate you being on the call. I've got to get ready for my other call now. We'll see you on Tuesday. Be careful out there.
Thanks, Denny.
Hey, Denny, thank you.
Denny.
Yep.